What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS.
Established over 100 years ago, Watkins Books is one of the world's oldest and leading independent bookshops specializing in esoterica. We have the widest selection of esoteric books in the UK, and our friendly and knowledgeable staff are here to assist you in a unique ambience of our shop. So come and visit us in the heart of London as we're open every day.
The comments and views expressed on The More Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The More Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching the UK's only alternative late night talk show. And I'm your host, Kevin Moore. For the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. On today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, Rashmi Khilnani. Now, Rashmi is the author of The Divine Mother Speaks, The Healing of the Human Heart. She is also the co-producer of her new movie, IGod. Now, she's been channeling the Ascended Masters for the last 15 years and making these teachings simple and accessible to people of all levels around the world. Rashmi Khilnani, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me back on your show after, I think it's been a couple of years, isn't it, since I did Shiva Speaks on your show.
You know, we'll link that interview below in the description. I think it was about 5 years ago. Was it 5 years ago? Was it 5 or 4 years ago?
Yes, something like that.
My goodness, how much has changed then? And I know at the time when I interviewed you, I was back in Cardiff then as well. I think he was in America at the time.
Yes, that's right. I was in Charlottesville. I was sort of based in America for a long period.
That's right.
My mission.
Yeah, that's right. And I think at the time you were talking about a treatment for a film idea you had.
Right, yeah, we were sort of at the beginning stages of this IGod project with Neale Walsh and my publisher Robert Friedman, who was also my friend, of course.
Right, so this is the IGod the movie, and now we had someone else come on for who had a part in that movie, and again we'll link that below this video as well. Where shall we start with the movie? Well, basically, let's just tell us a bit about the movie as well and why you did it.
Well, as I mentioned in your last show, I channel the Ascended Masters, and it's sort of synonymous with my own higher self, the voice of my higher self as a teacher of Reiki Masters and doing psychic surgery and different forms of healing. And I really work for Mahavatar Babaji, Lord Shiva, 1008, who was mentioned in Autobiography of a Yogi, Yogananda's book, and brought Kriya Yoga to the planet, taught Jesus, Moses, Elijah, etc. And I heard this voice inside me saying, after channeling the Divine Mother Speaks, the healing of the human heart, and Buddha Speaks, that I should make a spiritual film in the States and help in the waking up of the spiritual leaders of America. So I thought, well, that's quite a tall order. I don't know anybody.
Just say, so it was to do with waking up the spiritual. No. What did you say there? Something about waking up the leaders of the world.
Yeah, particularly in the States, it felt like, that we should make a sort of film about the divine and the different paths to the divine for unity, consciousness, and peace, but also just to bring a higher heartfelt vibration for the people that would be in the film, I suppose. I know that sounds really grandiose, but you get the messages you get from spirit, and that was the message I had.
Interesting. Okay, and what do you think the film? What is? Okay, have we kind of answered what the ethos of the film is? What the meaning of the film is?
Well, it's a really broad subject. This film was written by Neale Donald Walsh, and it's a project of Robert Friedman, who's one of the top channel publishers in the world. And I was also asked to go back to the States and help him to get back into his work because his company, Hampton Roads, got taken over. So it was a pretty off-the-wall type of story where I landed up in Charlottesville in his office, and I didn't know how and why I did, but I did. And I just told him he had to continue his work and so on. And I was the first book he published in his new publishing house, which is called Rainbow Ridge Books. And as you know, he was the publisher for Neale Donald Walsh's books. And meanwhile, in London at Petersham, near the Thames River, I met Woody Allen. So I thought I meant to make the film with Woody Allen. And he was one-to-one with me for a moment, away from his entourage. And I was sort of looking a bit like a cross between European and a Bollywood sort of person, because I was wearing white, but a very short dress, but my head was covered and I was all white. So he said, I don't want Bollywood people in because you people have stolen my scripts. And I said, well, we'll steal their scripts back. I just joked. And I said, we need to make a spiritual film, Woody. And of course, I think the number he gave me was not correct. I don't know. He looked a bit old now, But meanwhile, I came to the States, and then Robert Friedman said, why don't you co-produce this film with us, with Neale Donald Walsh and myself?
And exactly that's what happened. So whose film was it in the end? I mean, you were a co-producer?
Yes, I was a co-producer. I was the angel seed investor, and also I am one of the speakers in the film, which Bob Friedman said that whether I invested in the film or not, I would definitely be one of the speakers in the film with the Divine Mother perspective, the Goddess perspective, the Ascended Masters perspective, and the Reiki Universal Life Force Energy perspective. Plus, he felt I was a bit of an Indian mystic, different titles for whatever, And so that's what came to pass. I mean, if I had made a film, I probably would have made a film called IGod A, because this is the time of the rising of the divine feminine within men and women, which is not a gender thing. It's, the female energies being, allowing, intuiting, cooperating, co-creating, and harmony and things like that. Whereas the current patriarchal energy on the planet of 26,000 years has been fight, flight, competition, and so on, as we know. And that time is now coming to an end, and the dance of Shiva is going to bring about the destruction of the lower octaves for the creation of the higher octaves, and the rebirthing. So it's not about going from patriarchy to a matriarchal system, But this film is, obviously made by Neale, and it's got his perspective. Having said that, he wanted to bring in various voices. So we've interviewed people off the street, and I think they're personally the stars of the show. And then we've interviewed people like Marianne Williamson, James Van Praagh, myself, Amit Goswami, quantum physicist, Alan Cohen, various perspectives and heads of states of different religious denominations, pagans, shamans, and so on.
It's an interesting film in the sense when you do hear the people from the streets where they all have different opinions on what God is. But even I mean, doing this show and interviewing so many people, God is just a word to me.
Yes.
It's just dog spelt backwards.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's almost like it doesn't want to be found on this level or described.
Well, it's a bit like snakes and ladders, so when you're born you have this amnesia, as you've probably said many times in all your shows, and then what happens is that you remember as you go along the spiritual journey, and that's the game. It's like in Sanskrit we call it divine Leela, which is divine play, the dance of Shiva, and Shiva Shakti, which is consciousness hiding. That's the paradox, that's the joke of it all, that it tends to veil itself. But this is now a wake-up time, and so it's a time for us to discover. And I like the name of the film because IGod to me implies we are all God. God, Goddess exist within us, as us, which is the meaning of Om Namah Shivaya, the Mahamantra of Shiva, or any divine name contains that energy, because it's all universal energy that is everywhere, and as everything it is love, if you want to give it a word, but really it comes from the unmanifest, and in the unmanifest it is that energy of nothingness, Mahamudra, the black hole energy, the 0 point energy.
Yeah. I suppose in my day-to-day I do not think about God much. Probably not at all.
Yeah. It's become so passé in this day and age to, people are not going to church in the West. Of course, in the East, in India, we have a God for everything. We have a God for sex. We have, Hinduism is, I think, the only, it's not really a religion because it's a spiritual way of being that goes back to the Vedas and nature worship and the worship of the elements, and everything is sacred. And so in the East, it's in the blood, really, mysticism, and really you can't define God, and it's not about a church and religion. And so hopefully this film helps to take people deeper, because we ask 5 major questions. Why are you here? Is there a heaven and hell? Are you judged after you die?
No, they're questions absolutely that I think can define us and really come to some sort of conclusion.
The purpose of life, very deep questions that even took me to a deeper place. So there's something in the film for beginners, because a lot of people are currently just beginning to come out of 3D into these frequencies of wanting more and opening their hearts and coming into their bodies, out of their heads a little bit. But it's also got something for people like yourself and myself that have studied and, explored for such a long time on our life walk.
Yes, I mean, do I get? I mean, what have I studied really? Not a lot. Not a lot. It's interviewed, yes, for other people's truths, but maybe found my own truth through my own channeling, most definitely. But not so into books right now, and really don't get the chance to read any books because there's just so many things going on right now. Yes. I've made myself probably a bit too busy in some respects. I think really, what can this movie do in the sense, what have you seen it doing to people, and what effects has it been making that you're aware of?
Well, I think, as I said, it takes people much deeper inside themselves. They're also amazed, like a lot of the so-called New Agers are amazed that, actually their backgrounds are Catholic or Hindu or Buddhist, or, or how they've become a born-again Buddhist in a sense, or a born-again New Ager. There's just a lot there, which I've done a lot of interviews, on the radio, and the radio show hosts, you guys, to me, are among the spiritual leaders of this planet, in the sense that you are out there listening to so many perspectives, and of course the energy then begins to affect all of you. And in that sense, you're all on the cutting edge of things. I'm also a radio show host of 2013 and beyond, and I did a few shows as well with Hilary Rameau and so on. And so I'm noticing how these, the interviewers have been shifted from watching the film, because even they've got something out of it about the different ways in which our conditioning plays vis-a-vis, our current expansion of so-called consciousness or new perspectives on the divine, and not what we were born and brought up with, And, it's not a nice word, really, particularly in the West, this concept of God, because religion has been so misused in so many ways. And actually, when you hear some of the speakers in the film, you get, it obviously pushes your buttons, but this sort of film can really help bring peace on the planet now, and bring peace in the hearts of men and women. Things like ISIS and what's going on in the States and all over the world, and the economic collapse and so on. So, it really can help people to open to their hearts and have a bit more compassion, and to see, ultimately, hopefully, as far as I'm concerned, I hope that some of them begin to feel that divine energy within themselves. I mean, do you feel a divine energy within yourself, Kevin, sometimes, from your channeling or your...
Mainly when I channel, yes. But is there divine energy in me when I'm just doing other things? I'm just getting on with life. I don't really think about it too much.
But in a peaceful moment in nature, when you're taking a walk, when you're relaxing, when you're maybe listening to some nice music.
Those are important things to do, obviously, and I probably don't do enough of them. But no, my connection time is when I would channel. That's it, full stop. I think this comes down to as well purpose as well, doesn't it? A little bit. I think you can find that divine nature as well when you're living your purpose, or when you're doing what you would love to do as well.
Exactly. So when you're doing this work of spreading information and spreading different perspectives, you're playing such a big role in bringing peace to the planet and getting, knowledge and information out there to people energetically, because, these are visual audio shows. And so you must feel a sense of fulfilling that purpose of why you're here on this planet. What the film addresses, to me, it should not say, "Why? What do you believe?" It should say, "Why are we here, really? Why are we on the planet?"
I think there's so many people with so many multitudes of truth out there, which is just the way it should be. Yes. There is no one defining truth. I've not found it, except for maybe love in one sense. Yeah. But really, I'm going to have someone else on in half an hour or 3/4 of an hour that'll have a little bit of a different shift to what you're doing. Yeah. And it's just, there is no defining this. I think you've got to find your own path. And I think for myself, if you can do something that can be of a benefit to the bigger picture, then that's got to be a great thing. I mean, you can't change the world. You can only change yourself. And if that's on a big platform, changing yourself, which helps a bigger ripple effect, or just even a micro platform, that's all you can do. But there's no agreement in ultimate truth. And I think as well, when you cross over from the channeling that I've done, it does seem to tell me that even on the level we go to, everyone's got a different truth. There's even no defining truth on that level, and the infinite levels above that.
Well, in my book, The Divine Mother Speaks, The Healing of the Human Heart, I talk about absolute reality and relative reality. In absolute reality, we are part of the quantum field of consciousness. We are part of the unified field of consciousness. We are the oneness. And then within relative reality, we have individuality, which is precious as well. And so on the individual level, yes, we have our different perspectives. But in the absolute level, there are absolute laws of absolute reality. There are different laws for 3D and 4D, and then, higher dimensional.
I'm sorry, I don't mean laws, I mean truth. it seems to be that you're allowed your own truth, and that there is no defining truth on top of you to say this is it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just the difference between religion and spirituality. Spirituality is your individual journey, whereas religion is some outside authority telling you how it has to be, or what is, rigidly it.
Yeah. But I mean, what's going to change the world? Well, I even in this moment right now, I couldn't care less, because it's too. I can't walk out the door and shake someone and tell them how wrong they're doing it. One, it's not my place, and two,
that's not what it's about.
No, I know it's not. But do you know what I mean? I think the only way I could do that is being awoken, in the sense that I realize that I'm more than my skin, my hair, my color, blah blah blah, my sex. That I know that I have been and will be forever. That being here is so very, very important. Being here, not worrying too much about where I'm going to go to, or that nature of reality too much, but yet, making sure that if I can connect with that, bringing information that would make the moment now better, just like a lot of authors do, yourself with your channeled books, Neale Donald Walsh's books, and loads of other people's books. It's all about teaching information. But it really is embracing having the best life you can here now, and realizing that you are in this reality, so enjoy the fruits. And if you want to smoke, want to do this, do that, if you whatever you want to do, just do it to excess if you want. But there is a balance. There's there's the spiritual side, and there's the human side, and don't get stuck just in one. Try to balance it in both.
Yes, exactly.
And we've all got a past.
In Sanskrit, we say yoga and bhoga,
Well, I'll say we've all got a past as well. We've all got a dark past that we're embarrassed about as well.
Yes.
So none of us are perfect.
Shadow, exactly.
So, as I was saying to someone the other day, I channel, but, I've got a dark past as well. I still make crap loads of mistakes nowadays.
We all do. Yeah. We're here to learn, and we're here to grow. We're not here to be perfect.
I've met a lot of spiritual teachers in this game, and a lot of them are assholes. I've got to say, in some respects.
It is true.
They are. And you think they must be the most enlightened, loving people to be in the presence of, but they don't treat you very nice. And you're like, hang on a minute, that's not what I've seen on interviews, the way you're acting. And why have you got to be so nasty for?
Yeah.
And you're making me feel guilty as though I'm projecting something onto you. Whoa.
Yeah.
So...
It's true. It's absolutely true. Which is why, I really felt that even some of the specialists that are such amazing messengers on the heart, when you meet them individually, it's quite shocking to see exactly what you're saying. And so, some of us just carry a frequency of the heart energy. And that doesn't make us perfect. It doesn't mean we never use the F word, etc. It doesn't mean we can't fight. But it means that my whole life is currently about serving. I've sold everything I have. I live in a hotel. I try and live simply. I still live like a spiritual princess, but I also have a very simple life. I don't have a kitchen, and I follow my heart and do my best to serve whoever comes in my path. Everybody, not that I'm doing workshops and making money. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's about just freely, I call it being a philanthropist, and my brother in Delhi is saying, you're not that rich to call yourself a philanthropist, but it is being a philanthropist with the heart, and I've been managed to be like that all my life, even though right now my brother and sister are holding the money that my mother left us, and they're going to have a court case, But I know that when you're serving the whole, then somehow the energy and the money and the time and whatever it is I need will continue, because that is my mission, to work on myself and to help all others on my path.
Yeah, and if you've had that realization that is your call and that's your passion, that's what you're here to do, that's the most beautiful thing ever, because you're just you're loving yourself enough to follow that path. You're awakened enough to follow that path. You've had, I think you've got to be awakened to realize these things, right? So lucky you, in a sense, even though it can be bloody difficult. But you.
That is so true. It's a big challenge.
It is. It's a real enigma. But what a joyous. What you've got there is better than any man-made drug. When you get to that euphoria,
or tons of money in the bank or anything. Because
absolutely.
To just see the joy in another's face, and I really believe that you have to work on yourself. It's like the infinity symbol. So I meet many healers and teachers that are not really working on themselves. And that's no good. Or then some people are just working on themselves and up their own bottoms. And it's that balance, as you said, Kevin. It's really important to get that balance. And you said at the beginning of the show, what about my personal life? And you're right. My life has become 99% transpersonal now. And you're absolutely right. Because this heaven on earth energy that I'm bringing as a pioneer, ascension pioneer for the planet, is about being totally divine and in the goddess nature, but at the same time being totally human as well. And I now need to readdress my human side, but I have spent the last so many years also focusing on dancing, painting, singing, traveling, besides teaching, healing, writing, radio shows, and film, to get the messages of oneness and respecting each other, even if we have a difference of opinion, because co-creation is why we're here, really. And creation, even if we don't co-create, start by writing a poem or singing a song or going on a little trip somewhere or just helping somebody.
Yeah, well, exactly, and even that helping of someone can have a massive ripple effect. And why would you not want to help someone if you can, or be nice to someone?
Like the children,
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, but I think that when you've had this awakening inside, you wouldn't get road rage behind the wheel. You just wouldn't. Things just you're living in the moment much more. You're your acceptance of the moment. You're going with the flow with it, but the acceptance of it as well.
You're calm about it. And at the same time, if you need to feel some feelings, like yesterday was the full moon, or today, and I had some intense emotions come up about frustration of, I'm in this place, then I create a momentum, then I'm somewhere else. And then I realized, but I don't have an agenda. I can just sit on a park bench, like Jim Self says. Some of us can just sit on park benches, which is what a lot of us do. And I've been helping to hold morphogenic energy for the planet out of Kensington, London for 24 years. Well, I have rich millionaire students, Reiki Masters, that haven't lived in Kensington for 24 years. They've all moved up. So there's a reason I'm here, to hold that calm energy of meditation, but it involves being rather than doing. And sometimes that's frustrating for me because there are things I would like to get done. But it's just like you feel the feelings, but then you come back to the joke of it all, which is everything is exactly the way it's meant to be, and we're doing our best.
You are where you're meant to be, but like I say about yourself, the feeling I get is that you have found your purpose, and that could shift, but it's not set in stone. But that is what you're doing right now. So hats off to you, and so was the movie, of course.
And you're the same. You're the same. That's why we recognize each other. I mean, I really respect people like yourself, because you're putting yourself out there. This is not about money for us. We're doing what we do beyond money and beyond fame and name. If we wanted to be that famous, we wouldn't choose this line. We would choose, so many other things like sport or being an actor or whatever, which is what we could have been. Well, we could be whatever we want. But we've chosen this to serve.
See, that's a funny enigma, because I feel where I'm going to be heading to, I'm going to need a bit of money behind me. So I feel...
I'm sending you the energy for that.
I appreciate that.
Luxury.
It's
going to happen.
Oh, thank you. Now, what I feel my calling is right now, my ultimate destiny right now, which will be, is to get to America and have a large talk show that's about covering real life inspirational stories. Doing the Moore show still, but having that a different aspect of the Moore show, where it's a bit like the Oprah Winfrey show, where it's kind of like the real life stories, that kind of healing. Reaching people through that way that I couldn't reach through this way. So that's where I want to go to, but I know to get there, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be
it's going to happen. It's going to be effortless and easy. It is. That's the new frequency. It is effortless and easy.
Well,
I didn't know that I would go and do all those things, but they all happen because I knew they would, and it will.
Well, I'll tell you something. Ever since I started channeling, I've got to say the information that's been coming through was correct. When it gave me advice on what I should be doing, I should have listened to it a little bit, because it was with free will, but it was right.
Yeah,
it was right. And I think that's the gift that you've got as well. Well, you have got the channeling gift, because obviously when we last spoke as well, you'd only come out with the first book, and of course this is a few years ago now. what has come through in the other books in the sense? Was there any sort of common themes that were coming through? Was it different energies coming through, different entities that you were
Exactly.
channeling?
Well, the first book was actually The Divine Mother Speaks, The Healing of the Human Heart, and that's channeling the goddess Hathor to make Reiki energy mastery simple for everybody, and the wisdom teaching simple, an Egyptian mystery school or any mystery school teaching simple. So it's a handbook for healers, teachers of healing, Reiki masters, but just for anybody as well. And it's all made very, very simple. The difference between relative reality, absolute reality, the use of sound signatures, the understanding of how to open the heart, and what are the qualities and attributes of the heart. And these books have the energy behind the words. So they're not just knowledge. It's the energy. And so a lot of people that are beginning to open their hearts, they're feeling these energies, and they keep these books by their bedside. And particularly The Divine Mother Speaks, The Healing of the Human Heart. But I interviewed you for Shiva Speaks, Conversations with Mahavatar Badaji, and the energy there is the energy of Shiva. It's the energy of the change that's coming on the planet now. This is the season of change. It's, everything is changing moment to moment. And the Mayan glyph means that time is collapsing and time is happening simultaneously. And we're all getting into this 0 point energy. And out of that nothingness, we can create whatever we like. And within that energy, it's effortless and easy. So Mahavatar Babaji talks about truth, simplicity, and love, and we're all opening up to the avataric energy of our beingness. So, and Buddha Speaks was a request by my publisher, Robert Friedman, and I channeled the Buddha, and that's a completely different energy as well, because it's about detached witnessing. It's about being the observer. It's about asking the Buddha in current time questions about his wisdom for the now moment. How do we bridge the spiritual and the mundane, and our 9 to 5, I don't have a 9 to 5 job, I don't think you do, but most people do, and how to deal with all those things, and money and so on. So they're all very, very different energies, and people feel the energies when they read the books, and they receive the healing because as a healer I couldn't really be in all those places, whereas the books have helped and I say to people, they say, can I study? I teach 20 modalities of energy medicine, and I go, save your £600 and just buy the book for £13. Buy the film and raise your consciousness that way. So I don't know what's going to come next. I want to continue the radio shows, because I think that when I listen to my own radio shows, I get a high, or I get surprised, because most of the time I'm channeling during the show. And who are we channeling? Everything is the oneness. So within the oneness, Shiva is me. Buddha is me, etc.
That's so true. That's so true. You mentioned the One there. That was what I was channeling, this group called The One. And others came forward to me to say they were doing the same thing with The One. I never knew them. They were coming from different parts of the world. They'd seen me through YouTube, which I thought, well, there you go. That just speaks words. But as you've just said there, you're really channeling yourself when you bring this through.
Exactly.
You are
the
the
energy.
Yes.
The heart energy and the wisdom of all time from the nothingness energy. It comes from going into the void energy. And then the different archetypal energies come through. It could be the archetypal energy of the Buddha, or the Divine Mother, or the Goddess, or Kuan Yin. And these are the same energies that come for me when I'm giving healing sessions to different people. But everything's getting simpler and simpler and faster. What took hours and days is now happening much quicker. And I'm teaching something now called Advanced Sound Wave Energy Therapy. It's inaudible sound, and it works on cellular memory release very quickly. It works on grounding, co-creation, creating a gap in the electromagnetic field. I mean, it is mind-blowing, and it's been given by Archangel Raphael and Archangel Christopher. It's frequency medicine. It's very laser-like energy coming through the fingertips. It works on the right and left hemispheres of the brain. It works on the neuropeptides and neurotransmitters. It pulls stress off you. What is stress? Stress is fear. So, as some of us come to these energies and wake up to our larger perspective of our multidimensional being, we will take the collective with us. And that is within free will, obviously, and divine timing.
I see some people's lives, and I think, well, they've got a few more lives to live yet, or to come back for, before they ever have a wake up, an awakened experience. I couldn't see it in this lifetime that would be possible for them, because they're so shut off to everything around them except for what they can see physically, and it's all very science based. So, but it's almost like, and I say this in previous interviews without being repetitive and boring, it's almost like, well, if that's the case, and these souls have got complete free will to keep coming back, which they tend to seem to have from what's been reported again and again and again from hypnosis and everything else, and near-death experience information, that if that is the case, that there's a free will in there for life to allow it to happen. So, the bigger consciousness, God, or whatever you want to call that hierarchy, must want or not care about the results that happen too much in this world, and maybe it would care in the sense of it doesn't have to be so painful, but maybe it's the playground that's needed to allow the soul to have the experiences they're having. And if we cut it off in a generation's time, is that what us as souls would really want? Would we want this experience?
I think everything in the universe is very paradoxical. So this is the time to wake up now, and the experiment is for 7 billion to wake up to Christ consciousness, which is not a religious thing. It means unity consciousness. And the Ascended Masters, the Archangelics, the beings from other time-space continuums like the Pleiadians and the Sirians are here to watch this game. And it has never happened before that a planet and all humanity ascend together at the same time, and that we don't go off somewhere. We bring heaven to earth, which is cosmic energy into the bodies, into earth. We are human and divine at the same time. So the outcome of this experiment is not totally clear, and as Dolores Cannon has said many times, there may be several earths or a splitting, that's one way of looking at it. It could be that suddenly it will happen. It's called outmaking the maker, as the Pleiadians say. Even Prime Creator doesn't know which way that's going to go, because it's up to each and every one of us and up to the collective energy of how this experiment plays out. But the chances are pretty big that we will all begin to suddenly wake up. And that's what happens in evolution. Ascension is evolution. And, suddenly everybody gets it. When certain monkeys get it on one island, then everybody's got it through morphogenic resonance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open-minded. I'm not optimistic about it, but I don't know. But all I know is the wise words that you speak about, and what we've agreed upon as well, in the sense of just do your best. Do your best to be a light to others. No matter what you do.
And to yourself.
And to yourself, yeah. Well, that's one thing I got from the movie. This is what I got from the movie, in a sense. If you've just reminded me, actually, self-love.
Oh, that's a key.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one key I can teach people, and one key that I have embodied. I have embodied this. I'm not a perfect person. I do all sorts of things that people might judge as wrong and bad. I don't know. But I have embodied self-love. And there's always another layer and another place to reach with that. We never just finally arrive somewhere, in that linear kind of way. It's a spiral, and it goes on into evolution. Even Archangel Michael and all these higher beings, they're constantly evolving as well.
I meet people, and even recently, that, you say to them, do you love yourself? And they're like, no, never have. I'm like, oh, God, I wish you could just look in that mirror and just accept yourself for who you are right now. Just be at peace with yourself. It's such a great place to start.
So in all my teaching and all the healing sessions, that's the one thing is most people are suffering from, I'm not good enough. My teacher, minister, whoever it is, told me that I wasn't okay. And to begin to see that they are okay, and to begin to release the conditioning around they're not okay. And to begin by just feeling how they feel about that. About, not being size 0 or whatever it is. And that brings a huge shift in people once they begin to come into self-acceptance and self-love.
It
And
does.
it's not easy, because when you tell people, oh, love yourself, they're like, well, what does that mean, Or I do love myself. I eat nice food. I go on holiday. I have a massage. I have a healing session once in a while. But then it gets more and more subtle, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It does. Yeah, that real coreness of actually in the moment, just saying how wonderful you are and how amazing that you are, and
Taking
that.
a deep breath.
Deep breath. And to know we're all equal and we're all amazing and we all have a right to be here as well.
And we're all the same. We're all equal. Somebody can, say, oh, Rashmi, you're a goddess, you're a master, you're a mystic, and all these words. What do they mean? We're all human. We're all divine. We're all sailing in this boat together. We're all humanity. And we're waking up to our divine consciousness. And it's such an exciting time to be alive. Yes, it's extremely challenging. I mean, there are days I just think, why bother with all of this? Nobody's ever going to get it. And it's very difficult to function when all around you is a sea of people that don't love themselves.
Well, I'm glad you're here now, and that after all the years of speaking to you that one time, I did enjoy that first interview we did. I know this is a completely different interview in so many respects. I'm in a different place right now, which will affect it.
We're more vulnerable now, aren't we?
I think so. I think it's so much. If you had told me back then that I would be doing what I'm doing now, channeling, or even having done that process, I don't do it every day, don't get me wrong, but having done that changed me so much.
Yeah, you look completely different.
Maybe, well, that's just the bodybuilding, don't worry, but no, but yeah, well, I suppose we do take on a different look once we've shifted as well a bit. I can definitely say that.
How do you find my energy has changed? Oh, I suppose you can't remember me.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know why I'm struggling with that actually, because I feel like I know you, which is kind of weird. I don't know you, but I know you.
You do.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
on soul level, you do.
Yeah, on a soul level, I do. That's right. I absolutely do.
I feel so comfortable with you. It's like we've had dialogues before in other time-space continuums.
Yes, I think so. Well, maybe we've connected with the same consciousness that we're channeling. Maybe we're not that distance apart.
No, we aren't.
Is it always with you if you wanted to speak to this consciousness, your consciousness, your higher self, in a sense?
Yeah, I am it. Like people say, the Badaji is separate to you. I find that very hard now. I miss the times when he appeared to me in my studio and I could talk to him. I miss the times when, all these beings would come and go. And now sometimes I see Metatron and all this. But generally it's like in everybody, in you I'm seeing Shiva, in you I'm seeing the Buddha, in you I'm just seeing love, and I'm seeing myself. I am, it's beyond words really. It's just, I really feel this oneness energy.
Yes, it is.
I want to smack somebody once in a while. That does happen too, but I don't usually indulge in it.
Well, it's true. It's true what you say. It's true what you say. There's been a shift in channeling, and I've said this before on many shows, that the shift I've seen with channelers is that they're now saying, not all of them, but some are now saying, it's me, it was always me,
yeah.
It's me.
So when I say, Buddha speaks, Shiva speaks, the Divine Mother speaks, well, who are those? Everybody was like, some of my high esoteric friends were like, why not Rashmi speaks? So I did a show with Tom Evans, you probably know Tom.
Yes.
And he did the very beautiful thing with Rashmi Speaks, and everybody loved that. And you said channeling the Ascended Masters in your show. But yeah, it is Rashmi, and but who's Rashmi? It all comes from the nothingness. I have to keep coming back to nothingness, to the unmanifest, which scares the daylights out of most Westerners. But I think the time is coming. I met this amazing woman in Sweden. I taught her Advanced Sound Energy years ago. And she really gets this nothingness energy. So when I meet Westerners that get that nothingness, and I feel you do as well, because that's where the place from which you're channeling.
I asked it not too long ago, is this beyond the universe? Is this beyond infinitiveness? I can't get my head around if is there something actually beyond infiniteness, of this universe, and it said no. It's you're already in the everything. We're in the everything. So where we cross over to space time now is, well, there's no space and time, but
all these dimensions and,
yes,
and dark and light. It's getting beyond the dark and light as well. The dark, of course, wherever there's light, there will be a shadow. That's what I say in the film. But ultimately, there is no dark and light. It is just love. It is just light. It is just what it is. It is perfect, really. But our minds need to just sort of calm it a bit.
Absolutely. Is there any other channelers or receivers? It doesn't have to be channelers. They could use the word receiving, or downloaders that you have been following, or that you find interesting right now with the information they're bringing through?
Yes, I really find Jeffrey Hopi is channeling Adamus Saint Germain. I don't know if you've come across Jeffrey Hopi. I highly recommend him. The Crimson Circle. He's really talking about the powerless series and nothingness and everything.
Yes, I know the chap. Yep.
And my colleague Jim Self, I interviewed Jim Self in my show, the Rashmi Khilnani show, and he's a little bit more, he talks a lot about structures and stuff, but yeah, I think that it helps me vis-a-vis my teaching people to understand how to teach them with all those, words, because these are energies that are beyond words. As a mystic, it's all mystical, you can't define it. And so I find him quite interesting, though I think Jeffrey Hopi is really one of the top out there.
Okay.
Yeah, and who else?
Paul Selick, have you come across him?
Who?
Paul, I think it's Paul Selick, I think.
Well, maybe you could put that in the notes for me and I'll check him out.
I will, yeah, there's a guy in New York. It'd be nice for some of these...
I'm into Bashar and all those guys.
Right.
I can't get into that. I used to love Dolores Cannon, I mean, she's timeless, and I know you're connected to her. So she's amazing. And I'm very connected to Laura Eisenhower, who... she's been on my shows as well. She doesn't exactly channel, but I mean, her writings are amazing. But, herself and Ike, I really love and respect them. But I really do feel the energies are getting a little bit more into this, beyond light and dark. But they have their role, and it's important for people to get it, as well on that level. So everybody has a totally perfect role, because we have to speak about the so-called truth with a different color. So we cover all the colors and then beyond the color.
The day I hear us all saying the same thing is the day I'm walking away from it all. You have your own...
We're done.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in the fifth dimensional,
yeah.
or heaven on earth frequencies.
Yeah, have your own truth, for God's sake, and come up with your own path, and don't let anyone judge that, no matter what. As long as it's leading towards love and the best that you can be as well.
What's your favorite channel right now?
Oh, my favorite channel. Wow, that's a good question.
Aside for ourselves, of course.
Yeah. Well, it would be this chap. Well, this chap Paul from New York. He would be a good one. But another one.
What's his name? Paul what?
Oh, Selick. I'm terrible with names.
Set was amazing, and Barbara Marciniak, when she channels the
yes.
Pleiadians. At the time, they were amazing,
Yes.
But we have the new downloads, and I find in my radio shows, if people re-listen to me in the archives on my website, rashmikhilnani.com, and all my 100 radio shows or more, then I am literally channeling the energies of the now moment. So, it becomes very valid. Then there's Sandra Walter, and she's pretty good. She's up in Mount Shasta.
Yes.
And the person I absolutely love right now is Lisa Brown, and she's called Lisa Transcendence Brown, and she's an ascension teacher from Hawaii, and she's doing a lot on YouTube as well, and writing on Facebook a lot.
And I've also noticed a lot of younger channelers coming through.
Yes.
I had a young lady called Courtney Amberson. And she's about 21, and she'd done a book, and it was just it was incredible. There's an awakening happen. It's happening now. There's so many others. There's so many other younger channelers as well.
These younger children are really bringing a very, very high frequency, and all the things that we're having to remember and relearn they already come born with those frequencies.
And I just want to say this as well, that we may be, we're talking as though, we've got this ability. We all have this ability to do this. It's just, all you've got to do, from my experience, is just shut your eyes, go in meditation, create a door, walk through that door, and let your own voice come through, and just be guided by your voice, and then see what happens.
The only thing I would say there is that there are two voices within us, and one is the voice of the heart, and the other is the voice of the head. And then there's another type of voice, which is the voice of knowingness, like we know that the sun will rise tomorrow. There's a knowingness. That's one voice. But so when we start mixing up the voice of the head as a great channel, the Holy of Holies channel this, well, then it gets really muddy, and it can be quite, and also never, as you say, to put our information, force it down somebody's throat. So if I get some guidance for somebody during a sound wave session or psychic surgery, I say it feels like, and how does that feel for you? Rather than, this is what I'm getting, and you were a serial killer in past lives, or whatever it is. I mean, that's just very counterproductive.
Well, absolutely, but that's true what you say. What comes through normally is something that is not self-imposing. It comes from love. It's wisdom, and it's there's a trust there as well.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I know you do, but I'm just saying for our audience,
Sure.
when they begin to dabble with channeling, to really, start clearing the mind, as in you can't clear the mind. If you cut one head of the dragon, more will come up. But just begin to connect to your heart, and then embody that heart energy into the body, because the embodiment is very important. To be all like a space cadet all the time is not where it's at. And the new energies, even for channeling, are more like less of your voice changing and a whole woo-woo thing. And much more you can, it's moment to moment, and it's in the body.
That's so true. You know what? Yes. That's exactly what's happened to me. It
might not be kosher to say, but this is the new energy.
No. When it told me that I would have my eyes open at one point. I did. I started doing that. It told me, and then I as I'm talking to you now, I can then go into it and come from it, then come back out. I can do that as well. I'm not having to be in this massively deep, deep space. I'm able to come in and out, which I could never do before. And it's not this voice neither. It's me, and you are so right. A lot of the ones people that I've got onto my show recently have just come from that space. It's almost like there's a shift that's taken place in the way that they come through. Like before, that's the way they used to do it, or that's the way the energies were. Now the energies are different.
And even when I channel my books, I just took 21 days to channel them. I called an REM, Reiki Energy Master, who teaches modalities like I do. I asked her to get on her computer, and I just walked up and down or sat on a sofa or looked out the window, and we created an altar to Buddha or Shiva or the Divine Mother.
Yeah.
And then I started rattling out, and in the middle I would say Google that word, or I would edit something, because my dad was the editor of the Times of India newspaper, so it's sort of in my blood. And I was able to just, without changing my voice and all. The only thing is if she suddenly got loud or said, you can't do this, or I'm going to throw the computer on your head, because she was getting frustrated, well, then that was a bit of a jolt, because I was in a very high frequency. But overall, it was very high. It was not normal. It was transcendental. And at the same time, it was totally, I was able to be human and function in editing, or, and there was no mumbo jumbo about it. There was no woo woo about it.
No, absolutely. Now, but there are the channelers out there, and some of the good ones, I'm just going to say, some of the good ones who do take on that different personality. But
yes. Like Barbara Marciniak takes on a different voice when she's channeling the player.
So, do I have all the answers to how it really works? No. I'm here right now, and, trying to be here presently. And I'm,
Do you feel in your body?
I don't normally walk around, and I'm normally sat down doing it, but what do I feel in my body? I don't feel my body's there when I'm doing it.
Okay. But right now, are you feeling in your body?
Oh, sorry, right now, yes. Yeah, I thought you meant when I channel. No, of course I do, yes. I know, I'm aware that I am here right now.
In a body, yeah.
Yeah, but when I switched that other side on and I've walked through that door, it's a few things are different. It just feels a bit different. Yeah, it just feels a bit different. What would you say are some of the main messages that they would want to have come through right now? From my channeling, they tell me that if you want to blow yourselves up, do it. But you don't have to. It doesn't need to be so painful.
We have total free will on this planet.
Yes.
And each individual has free will, so we can't force anybody into ascension. Everybody's a sovereign being, and everybody has the total right to have whatever beliefs and whatever concepts. And I don't really believe in beliefs and concepts because that's all mind energy. And I hope that certain people will come out of their mind energies into their hearts, and then let their minds be more like a computer, but their heart is the boss, and their embodied heart, they're grounded in the body heart, not up there floating up, because we've come to bring heaven to earth this time. We're not going away anywhere. We are going to bring all the different quantum energies of multidimensionalities on earth here now, just as Jesus did, but in a less dramatic Piscean, age of Pisces kind of way. So I think everybody, it's about self-love, it's about co-creation. We're here to create and enjoy. And if we choose to destroy, as you're saying, yes, that is a choice, and we can choose that. And the Divine Mother, the book, she keeps saying, what will you choose? What will you choose?
Yes.
Will you choose to destroy yourself now, or will you choose to co-create? This is the time of co-creation, and if you choose to destroy yourselves, well, then you're going to come back again and again and again till you take the higher octave, the higher frequency, because, yes, you can devolve, but this is a wake-up time now on the ecliptic. We've had 26,000 years of sleeping, and that was valid, but now it's time to wake up, and everything moves in cycles and spirals.
Well, you can't be off-put by just not looking at some of the issues in the world right now. I know you've mentioned this. I'm not trying to rehash old things. I'm just saying that there is a great shift taking place. You'd be blind not to. Even my friends are talking about things that they would never have talked about before, which, as someone pointed out to me the other day, is a pretty good thing, actually. Just look at the positive side of all this. But there is a lot of it's not an easy time, and I think what's coming to the forefront is definitely oneness. Loving yourself more and coming together, as you say, coming together and seeing the unity.
Serving and sharing.
Yep, sharing.
And getting grassroots, getting simple. I mean, the Shiva book is truth, simplicity, and love. So, are we matching our thought with the word, with the deed? That will always give you a more peaceful, loving, joyful time. And it'll also give you more abundance. Are we sharing? That will give you more abundance. If we want love, let's give love. If we want peace, let's be peace. Let's not just blame our leaders and all this. And reading high-frequency books like the ones I've channeled, and Barbara Marciniak, Barbara Han-Clow, listening to Jim Self, Jeffrey Hopi, your shows where you bring so many amazing people there. And not just the New York best-selling authors. I know they're in IGod, and I love and respect them deeply. However, we need to also use our intuition to connect to some of the newer frequencies of the new downloads. People like myself, we're bringing the new frequencies, and they're not new. They are eternal. They are the wisdom teachings of all time. But we need to make it more and more pure and simple, and less mental.
Absolutely. Now, your books have been coming up on the screen, your website. Of course, where we've been playing parts of the IGod movie, just as little clips when we've been talking about them as well. And again, the movie is available to download and to buy as well. So,
the IGod has its own website, igodthefilm.com, and my website is rashmikhilnani.com. I'm also on Facebook, and each of my books has a page on Facebook. There's a page for IGod as well, and a lot of my radio shows are on my blog in rashmikhilnani.com, and Neale Walsh's website also has the film. So as people connect to these high frequency podcasts, films, books, and even just keeping the Divine Mother by your bedside can help to bring this goddess energy to begin to awaken, because attention plus intention equals manifestation.
Well, Rashmi, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure. And I will either meet you down London sometime, hopefully, but I think we're going to be reconnected somewhere along the line in the not too distant future, I hope. And I wish you all the very, very best with everything you're doing. And if we can help at all with anything, then please get in contact. But thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And do let me know when it's on so I can share it on Facebook.
Will do. Rashmi, thank you.
Take care. Many blessings. Bye-bye.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on our past and upcoming guests on the show via themoreshow.com, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.